G'day, mate.
I'm Oliver, and I'm gonna tell you about the greatest thing in Australia. The Great Barrier Reef. You'll be wondering, mate, what it is, mate. Where it is, mate. It's dangerous, mate. French to it, mate. And the question, if to develop tourism, mate. What it is, mate. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest coral reef in the whole planet, with an area of 344,400 squared. Whoa, crikey.
Well, what's a coral reef?
Coral reefs are large underwater ecosystems made of the hard skeletons of tiny animals called coral polyps. Coral polyps are animals in the phylum Canidaria. They're mostly colonial, except for some species. Also, they're related to jellyfish and sea anemones. There's two types of coral polyps: hard coral polyps and soft coral polyps. Hard coral polyps have a hard exoskeleton made from calcium carbonate which they extract from the water, while soft coral polyps have small skeletal structures called sclerites, that help the coral polyp keep their shape. Hard coral polyps are the main reef builders, thanks to their hard exoskeleton. How do the hard corals make the reefs? The start of the coral reef begins when a coral larvae attaches itself to rock. The coral larvae grows into a coral polyp. The coral polyp extracts calcium carbonate from the water and uses it to create a hard exoskeleton. This skeleton they constantly add on to. Coral go under a process called budding. There are two types of budding: intratentacular and extratentacular. Both are involved with the creation of new polyps from the original polyp. Intratentacular is when the original polyp splits into two polyps. And extratentacular is when a new, smaller polyp grows from the side of the original polyp. The process of budding is used to create colonies, which all work together to create the big calcium carbonate structures we call coral. New larvae is created through a process called coral spawning, which is when the polyps eject eggs and sperm, which become fertilized and eventually will become a larvae which will attach itself to rock, and the process will begin anew. This constant cycle of larvae to colonies will eventually create a coral reef.
Where it is, mate. The Great Barrier Reef's in the Coral Sea, off the coast of Queensland, which is on the northeastern side of Australia. It's dangerous, mate. Box jellyfish are classed in cnidarians, known for their painful, and for some species, fatal stings. Many notable species of box jellyfish live in Australia, like Turnex fleckeri, also known as the sea wasp, and a group of tiny but deadly jellyfish called Irukandji jellyfish. Stonefish are a genus of venomous fish, which deliver their deadly venom from sharp spines on their dorsal fins. Humans are stung, usually, when walking through water and accidentally treading on the fish. The stonefish's venom can be fatal if left untreated. Blue-ringed octopus is the name given to 3 species of tiny but deadly octopuses. The most recognizable feature of this group of octopuses is the bright blue patterns that glow on their skin when they're threatened. When threatened, blue-ringed octopuses bite their attackers with their sharp beak. This beak delivers deadly venom, which paralyzes and then kills the attacker. French to it, mate. Human threats. Ships dropping their anchors on the reef destroys coral. Also, careless tourists trampling all over the reef destroys coral as well. Overfishing is when fish are being caught faster than they can reproduce. This poses a significant problem to the reef, as the removal of large quantities of fish will affect the numbers of their prey or predators, damaging the ecosystem. Pollution is another threat to the reef, caused by humans. There's many types of pollution.
Sediment pollution
is the deposition of large amounts
of sediment in a water body. Sediment being loose material like dirt or sand created by erosion or human practices. Sediment travels through flowing water and then is deposited in a water body like a lake or sea. A large amount of this sediment could prove a big problem for the wildlife and reef. Sediment restricts the amount of sunlight going to the coral, and because sediment settles on the bottom, it buries coral.
like oil spillage, which is when oil is leaked into the sea from accidents involving oil rigs and ships. This is dangerous to the coral reef, as oil is toxic.
Sewage pollution is when sewage, which is human waste and wastewater, is pumped in the sea via pipes. This sewage can end up in the reefs and kill off the animals and coral, as sewage is toxic. Climate change is a change of weather conditions in an area over a long period of time.
It has many causes,
Human and natural. But the primary cause
is increased greenhouse gas emissions, which is caused by humans. These gases gather up in the atmosphere and create heat. This can warm up seas. Coral don't react well to high temperatures and eject the algae within them. This is called coral bleaching. The loss of algae turns the coral white, as the algae gave the coral its color. Algae also provided coral with food through photosynthesis. Without the algae, this cannot take place.
Threats to it, mate.
natural threats. The crown-of-thorn starfish is a predator of coral polyps. They eat the coral by literally throwing their stomachs at it and use digestive enzymes to liquefy the prey. The crown-of-thorns are actually useful for the coral reef as they help clear away the fast-growing coral. However, due to an increase in numbers of crown-of-thorn starfish, a lot more corals being eaten, the loss of coral can significantly impact the reef. For example, many fish use coral as homes, and to avoid predators, the removal of coral will mean these fish will be vulnerable and have no place of rest.
Storms and hurricanes can destroy coral. El Niño Southern Oscillation is a natural phenomenon involving changes in the Pacific trade wind, which leads to changes in climate all around the world. It comes in two phases, El Niño and La Nina. The winds normally blow from east to west, transporting warm water to the west, which governs Australasia, raising water temperature and increasing precipitation. A process called upwelling occurs on the eastern side of the Pacific, which when deeper colder water was brought up to the surface, which is used to replace the warm water sent to the west. It decreases the water temperature around South America. This is also contributed by cold evaporated water from the west that's brought to the east. In El Niño, the trade winds weaken, causing warm water to be pushed back to the east, raising sea temperature in the east, but decreasing temperature in the west. In La Nina, the wind strength for pushing warm water further to the west. Upwelling occurs more, decreasing sea temperature in the east.
El Niño Southern Oscillation has a great impact on Australasia, on land and in the sea. For the Great Barrier Reef, the temperature changes can cause coral bleaching,
Which we have previously found out can kill them, as it prevents them from using photosynthesis to make food.
Now the question.
Should develop tourism, mate.
The pros of tourism are:
it increases both national and local income, generating money that can be used to help the community and the reef.
it creates jobs for people.
Tourism can make locals feel happy and proud, as tourism lets them spread their culture and traditions to tourists.
The cons.
Tourists can annoy the locals, usually through rude behavior. Tourism creates many problems to the reef. For example,
Cruise liners could drop their anchors on the reef, damaging coral. Most of the income isn't given to help the reef or the community, but to foreign companies, like hotel and resort chains. After looking at all the pros and cons, we can come on a balanced conclusion. On one hand, tourism is a great idea, as it increases both national and local income, creates jobs for people, and can make the locals feel good about themselves. However, on the other hand, it's a bad idea, as it's the source of many threats. Tourists can annoy the locals, and most money goes to the foreign companies. Money that can actually be used to help the reef and the community.